All right, so this semester we're going to cover lots of functions. This is called the library of functions. These are the functions that I need you to know. For a typical calculus course or a business brief calculus course, these are the only ones primarily that I need you to know. For a advanced or a regular calculus course, analytical geometry calc 1, you also need to know trigonometric functions, which is like sine, cosine, tangent, but those are all in another review packet. So right now all we're doing is reviewing what functions do I need you to know. And when I talk about this throughout the semester, we're going to be talking about each and every one of these functions. We're going to be finding derivatives of them, intervals of continuity. We're going to find antiderivatives, which are called integrals of these functions. So I really want you to be comfortable with these functions. The functions are x, x squared, x cubed, square root of x, cube root of x, 1 over x, the absolute value of x, e to the x, and natural log of x. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to take that small window again, x from -5 to 5, y from -5 to 5. I wanted you to graph each one of these graphs, and then I want you to state the things about them, the things that I want you to do. When you graph it, make sure you touch the edges of the graph. I want you to label at least 3 points, so actually put the dot and write it, like 1, 1 would be an example of what I mean by labeling. You want to state the domain and range. Remember, those are in interval notation. Domain is x values, left to right. Range is y values, down to up. I want you to tell me intervals of increasing and decreasing. Increasing is as you go from left to right when it goes up. Decreasing is as you go from left to right, it goes down. Then I also want you to write those x-intercepts and y-intercepts. X-intercepts are where it touches the x-axis. X-intercepts are always a number, comma, 0, so like 5, 0. And y-intercepts are where it touches the y-axis. Y-intercepts are always 0, comma, a number, okay? So what am I going to tell you to do? Well, all honesty, I would be using my table feature on my calculator. So let me write that again. You most certainly want to hit the table button on your calculator. Once you hit the table button on your calculator, you're going to type in y equals, and you're going to put whatever the function is there. Hit enter. Now where it says start, so this is page 1, this is page 2, on page 3 of it, when it says start, what I want you to do is I want you to start at -5, and then for step, I want you to set that to 1, and then I want you to select auto, and then I want you to hit OK. When you do this, this is going to give you your t-chart or your table of your x and y values. You're going to see your x values and your y values, and you're going to be able to quickly and easily see every single point that you need to plot within the window. So I'm going to be doing this for every single one of these graphs, and I'm going to be talking about this table for every single one of the graphs. So please follow along and do that. Hit the table button, type in the function, start at -5, step with 1, hit auto, hit enter. And then all you're going to do is hit the down arrow to see all those x values. So for instance, let's come over here. Here's f of x equals x. I hit the table button on my calculator. I clear out anything that's there. I hit the x button. I hit enter. I want to start at -5. I hit enter. Step is 1. I make sure I select auto, and then I hit enter again and enter again. Now I see my chart. When I see my chart, I see my x value and I see my y value. My chart looks like this. I see a -5, -5, -4, -4, -3, -3. And that's all I see directly on my chart. What I need to do at this point is hit the down arrow to see more buttons, okay, or more values. So I have -2, -2, -1, -1, and so on, okay? All the way to when x equals 5, I would see the point 5, 5. Okay. What does this do? Well, when I see this, this tells me, for instance, the -5, -5, that tells me that -5, -5 is a point on the graph. So I would go left 5, down 5, I'd put a dot, and then I could label it. So -5, -5, labeled right there. Then I can go through, and anywhere that I see a point in that table, I could go ahead and put a dot on my graph. Remember, you want to be as accurate as possible in the entire window. So these are the points that I saw within the window in the chart. I need to label at least 3 of them. Doesn't matter which ones you label. I always like labeling x-intercepts and y-intercepts. But there it is right there. There's 3 points right there. I'm going to go ahead and connect the dots with a line. And there it is. There's my function right there. So let's remind ourselves, what does domain mean? Domain means how far left does this go? Well, my graph window only goes to -5, but I do know that this graph would keep on going all the way to the left forever if I expanded out this window. So if I said, how far left does it go? It would go left all the way to -infinity. And then I ask, how far right does this go? Well, it would go right all the way as well, all the way to infinity. So it goes all the way left, all the way right. That's what domain is. Range is how far down and how far up does it go. You always have to start with down because you have to do negative numbers before positive numbers. So range, how far down does this graph go? Well, it goes all the way down if I continue to the window, so that'd be -infinity. And then how far up does it go? This would go up to infinity. As I notice, as I go from left to right, this graph is always going up. As I go from left to right, this graph is always going up. That means it's always increasing. So where does it increase? Everywhere. In other words, -infinity to infinity. Decreasing is where does it go down? Well, it doesn't go down, so I'll just say none. X-intercepts. Where does it touch the x-axis? Well, where it touches the x-axis is at the origin, the point 0, 0. That's where it touches the x-axis. Y-intercepts, again, where does it touch the y-axis? It also touches the y-axis at that point 0, 0. Notice my x and y-intercepts are ordered pairs. So you're going to go through the next few pages. You're going to do this exact same thing. Create a table, put in the function, put dots at any of the points that you see in the table. Domain is left to right. Range is down to up. Increasing is as you go from left to right, when is it going up? Decreasing is as you go from left to right, when is it going down? X-intercepts are where does it touch the x-axis? It is an ordered pair. Y-intercepts are where does it touch the y-axis? It is also an ordered pair. Okay, x squared, go ahead and plug it in. Let's see what you get. I'm doing my table. I hit table, I clear out what's there. I hit x squared, hit enter. I start at -5, I have a step of 1, I hit auto, I hit enter. When I see -5, I see the value 25. Well, I know I only care about points that are when both values are between -5 and 5. So this isn't even a point that I care about. This wouldn't even be on my window. In fact, the next one, -416, not in the window either. -3,9, still not in the window. I need to find when is the y values between -5 and 5. So the first point that I see there is -2, 4. That's the first one that actually fits in the window. So I'll go on my graph, I'll point the point, -2, 4. I keep on going down, I see a -1, 1. I see a 0, 0, a 1, 1, a 2, 4, and then I see 3, 9, which is also not in the graph. So these are the points that I'm going to be able to plot right here. I plot each and every one of the points that's accurate within the window. I need to make sure that I label at least 3 of them. Doesn't matter which 3 you label, just label at least 3. You could label all of them if you want. I'm going to sketch the graph. This one's a nice curved, it's called a parabola shape. Make sure that you touch the edges of the graph. Looks something like this. The questions now are domain and range. So domain is how far left and right. Let me do this for you. Domain, again, is how far left would this graph go and how far right would this graph go. Well, if I continued this on forever, this graph would go all the way left, so that would be -infinity to infinity, and it would go all the way right, or sorry, it would go all the way left, which is -infinity, it would go all the way right, which is +infinity, making my domain -infinity to infinity. Now the question becomes, what's my range? For range is how far down will the graph go to how far up does it go. So how far down does it go? If it looks to me like this graph stops right here, which would be at y equals 0, remember we're doing y values here, to how far up does it go? So the graph starts at 0, that's its lowest value, and it goes all the way up to infinity. Remember, infinity has to have a parentheses, and then the question is, do I actually stop at 0? And the answer is yes, I can and am defined at 0, so I have to use a bracket there. If it were an open circle or never touched the value, then it would be a parentheses, but there is a point there, the point is 0, 0, so that is my range. Bracket 0, infinity. Increasing is when is this graph going up? Well, if I look, it's going up from 0 all the way to the right. It's x values here. Increasing and decreasing is x values. So from the point 0 all the way to the right, I know this graph is going up. So my increasing would be 0 to infinity. with parentheses. Always do increasing and decreasing with parentheses, okay? The question then becomes, when is the graph going down? Well, the graph is going down all the way from negative infinity to 0, all right? Negative infinity from the left to 0. So a lot of people here would like to write 0 comma negative infinity, but we have to go from left to right. So where is this graph decreasing? From x equals negative infinity all the way to x equals 0, this graph is going down, okay? Notice increasing and decreasing is not the y values. Increasing and decreasing is the x values, where it's going up and down. What are the x values when it's going up and down? Where does it touch the x-axis? Touches the x-axis at the point 0, 0. Touches the y-axis at the point 0, 0 as well.